big strikes early. A huge fight. Big strike landed from Cespedes. Dia Grant closing the distance and taking him up against the cage.
Well, and he said that in his fight with Aaron Gallant, he got stuck with an elbow and that affected him. But he's right in here now. He doesn't seem to be affected by those punches, although they landed with authority.
Yeah, Rolando Cespedes, a nice set of punches to open this fight. But Dia Grant doing a nice bit of damage up against the cage with the knees and has now secured a takedown.
Excellent throw by Dia Grant, if not interrupted by the cage grab by Cespedes. But Dia Grant in a very good position here to work from side control. He's going to want to look to isolate one of the close arm so he can land strikes with that left arm of his.
Cespedes trying to explode out, but Grant in there. Now Cespedes with the full guard. Grant trying to posture up. Cespedes trying to find an arm. Now has an arm bar in there. It's whether or not he can pop it loose from the other arm. Dia Grant doing a nice job posturing out, protecting that elbow or that arm and really keeping that grip locked.
It's important when you get yourself in a position where your arm is isolated, you need to stack your opponent and push down immediately, and then you need to wait until you feel the ability for your arm to pull out. Excellent technique by Dia Grant coming out of Dynamic MMA, and now let's see what he can do from this top position.
Grant continuing to land strikes from the top. Body, head as called by his coaches. And those last few going straight to the head. Coach is calling for an elbow, but hasn't been able to land one yet. Cespedes brings him back down in a full mount. Dia Grant is on top and looking to get it done here with another nice punch. He's securing him. Those hooks are in. Cespedes is in trouble here, Jeremy, as Dia Grant on his back and doing everything he can to soften him up and look for that choke.
Well, we saw what Rolando Cespedes did in his last fight here in the Hard Knocks cage, and you're seeing Dia Grant almost dismantle him. So when we said scary Dia Grant was here, we meant it.
Dia Grant doing an excellent job so far. Some nice defense from Cespedes there. Rolled him out, looked for the choke. Cespedes didn't give him the choke. Grant rolls out of it, looking to try it again, and some good patience there, not wearing out his arms, not fighting off, and trying to find rolling into the choke. But again, some nice defense here from Cespedes, despite Dia Grant being on his back.
Well, and Dia Grant's last fight, we're seeing him on the top and what he can work with his jiu-jitsu. His last fight, he was getting thrown all over the cage by a fairly accomplished wrestler and was able to pop out an armbar and really do some damage there. So Dia Grant showing in his last two fights very good jiu-jitsu, very good control from both dominant positions and submissive decisions. Nice takedown here by Grant, and now working again for that rear naked choke.
Yeah, Grant just pulling Cespedes down and having his back. He's got the hooks in. Dia Grant has been in a fairly dominant position for the majority of this round so far. And with a minute 35 to go here in round number one, Dia Grant is doing very well here against Rolando Cespedes.
Less than a minute and a half remaining in round one. And again, just being patient here. There's lots of time remaining. You only need about 10 seconds once you've locked it in for fighters to really think that they're in trouble. And you look at Cespedes here, trying to isolate an arm, being able to turn inside the guard, and turning he is. He's almost out, and now he is out inside the guard of Dia Grant, so now Cespedes will get some work from the top.
And Cespedes, we saw what he could do against Mark Marouge. And again, throwing the arm, and now it's Grant going for the armbar, but Cespedes coming in with some big strikes from the top, Jeremy.
Well, and that's the armbar that was able to catch his last opponent, so he is using it to his effect, but now Cespedes, with about 40 seconds remaining, has some time to try and change the judges' minds in this round as to who won it. So far, it's going Dia Grant's way.
Again, Cespedes now dropping punches on Dia Grant. Grant just covering up here, intelligently defending, but with 30 seconds left, there's a lot of time for Cespedes to work on top here, Jeremy.
Yeah, again, these are all things. They might not win the round because, again, Dia Grant spent a lot of time on top, but it will soften up Dia Grant for the second round as we have less than 10 seconds remaining by the sound of the clap. And, again, a great first round by both these fighters.
Yeah, both fighters really going at it here, and that's the end of round one. Big swing from Cespedes. And Dia Grant ducks under that and secures a nice takedown.
We're not brothers at all, hey?
No. Nice elbow there from Grant in tight. Again, landing strikes on Cespedes.
This is where Dia Grant likes to work. He likes to push forward when that guard is a little loose. That's where he likes to strike from. And again, trying to put the pressure forward, making sure to work on his positioning. Again, very important. You don't want to give up a bad position for the sake of landing a heavy strike. And you look here, this is an arm triangle or side choke from the bottom. It's very hard to tap a guy out from this, but it really does limit what the guy can do, as well as cut off a little bit of oxygen to the brain for a short time.
Dia Grant pops out of it and answers with strikes. Very effective ground and pound from Grant. The up kick's coming. And again, trying to pull him into a potential submission here, Jeremy. Looks like just one arm in. It's whether or not Cespedes can get it around for the triangle. You can see him pulling his leg in, and he's going to have to pop that other leg over. We may have a triangle choke here. Dia Grant trying to pull out of it, but so far just, well, the other hand is just in there.
And an excellent job to stack up by Dia Grant. And again, with the triangle, all you need to do is create a little bit of space to be able to make it so it's not effective. But this is the other danger. If you're not getting out of it, you're leaving your head exposed to those nasty elbows. We've seen a lot of fighters in the past get nasty cuts from those elbows in that position.
Cespedes tried to secure the triangle a little more and stack up Dia Grant, push him away, but he was unable to secure the triangle, and Grant now back on top. Right here in front of us, Dia Grant landing nice punches as he continues to go forward.
And again, very tough rounds to call because both fighters are having their time. Dia Grant spending the majority of the time on top, but when Cespedes is in a dominant position, he is really dominating.
Still 2:45 to go in round number 2. Dia Grant on top of Rolando Cespedes, a nice forearm elbow there. And again, Grant doing a good job, Jeremy, of punishing from the top. When he's in this position, he's throwing punches, he's landing punches to the face, and that will add up over time and help secure him a victory.
When you look at Cespedes pushing away the hips, he's got a butterfly guard with his right leg, now switches to a transitional guard, but he keeps moving back, and Dia Grant keeps no space in between the legs, so he is making sure that he can continue to be dominant. But while they've been on the ground right now, they've traveled almost a full circle around. As you see, Cespedes trying to shrimp out, and Dia Grant having nothing of it, keeping those thighs on thighs, and being able to continue raining down blows.
Grant postures up now, lands a nice combination 1-2, but again has his arm caught out. Cespedes has an arm. It's whether or not he can secure it and lock it up. And a nice sequence of rolls here by Dia Grant to get out of that submission. A very good job there by both fighters transitioning, fighting for that armbar, but Cespedes unable to keep it, and Dia Grant right back on top.
Excellent display of jiu-jitsu here in the Hard Knocks cage as we try and bring the best talent we have to offer. And you look now at this fight between Dia Grant and Rolando Cespedes. Pretty much has had all aspects of the game. Good striking, good jiu-jitsu, good wrestling. So it's we'll see how this one plays out in the third round. But again, tough rounds to call for our judges.
Dia Grant still on top. Cespedes busy from the bottom. Jeremy hasn't stopped throwing punches, hasn't stopped moving, and again has tried submission attempts on several occasions here. And so far, so good, though, for Dia Grant, who spent the most of this round on top. And that counts for something here in Calgary. If there's one thing we know, being on top is certainly a bonus point in the judges' eyes.
Yeah, and again, with less than 30 seconds to go, a little bit of blood coming from one of the athletes, probably Dia Grant, just by the positioning of it. But you hear his corner saying, land one good blow in 20 seconds. Position yourself for one good blow in 20 seconds. And again, very tough to call because you've seen Rolando Cespedes be very effective throughout the round, but Dia Grant equally effective. So I don't think either fighter can be guaranteed that they are up or down 2 rounds. Unlike other fights tonight, we have no idea who's winning this fight.
Yeah, deep breaths, mouth open from Dia Grant in the corner before this round starts, but it doesn't seem to affect him early as he secures another takedown and works himself into a guard position, and we'll see what he can do from here. And again, trying that guard, and you know that inevitably the attempt at an armbar is coming, but this time scrambling to his feet and blocking the head kick, Cespedes. Dia Grant again pulls, but this time a guillotine, arm in, and we'll see whether or not this is over, and it is over. Rolando Cespedes wins the fight via guillotine choke. Dia Grant falls. A great win there for Rolando Cespedes.